Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Wood Spun Around. This is Doug, and I am glad to have you with me today. I got some friends in the background just aching to get to know you guys and see who you are. So there's
Good
Queen
evening. Good
Ruby
evening.
and Master Jedi Wayne. So we're glad you guys are with us tonight. They'll be keeping you all entertained while I'm trying to turn something, trying to keep me out of trouble and answering questions and all those fun things. So I'm going to put them back in the background and let you know what's going on. I've got a piece of maybe fogwood. It's nicely spalted. Has some surface checks in it. Most of those are going to get turned away. We're going to turn a bit of a yarn bowl. Last yarn bowl I turned or attempted to turn. Just realize that camera's that's better. Last yarn bowl I tried to turn the wood. We had a big spunky area, and somebody suggested that I turn the J hook in the punky area or cut it in the punky area. I did. It didn't work. So this wood is a little stouter, but I've had a couple of questions. Not a couple of questions. I had a couple of requests to do a yarn bowl. And so, in fact, there are two ladies in the store that I'm in who would like to have yarn bowls. So I'm going to turn one today. At least I'm going to try to turn one today, and get it in the store, and then they can fight over it and see who's going to win out and get this one, and who has to wait for the next one. So, in fact, I may turn two or three more after this one if this goes well. So we're going to do a couple of things that are a little different from most everybody else. The way I cut the J hook is a little different. I think it's a great way if the wood is solid. This wood seems to be solid. So I'm going to get started here and I'm going to take a wild guess and say Wayne's going to read off the chat list.
How unusual.
Yeah, that would be really unusual, but
It
that's
would, yeah. Me taking over from Ruby. Doesn't happen that often.
Oh, well, I'll suffer through it.
it'll be okay.
Okay. Obviously, Ruby's here. Doug's here. I'm here. Ronald Todd is here from the West Bank of New Jersey. Rob from Copperell is in. Tony Turns Wood. He gets to spend his lunch hour with Doug and the crew. Whoop whoop.
You must be a
Uh,
little further west than we are. If it's
well,
only
he's,
noontime.
he's definitely further west than what I am.
Yeah, yeah.
We've got Paul Norfolk. Sorry, Paul Hunter. Paul Norfolk Hunter, who is in the UK because he's saying good evening. Deals in Old Man River.
How you
Michael
doing?
McEwen is here. Already said Ronald. Paul Hunter has said he's been trying some three-sided boxes, but it's not happening as he would like. Any advice on that, Ruby?
Make sure you've divided the top and bottom where you're doing it between centers into a good triangle on the same on both ends, and
Yeah.
then use those centers accordingly.
And Tony Turns Wood said he did Will's box yesterday. Great project. He's adding his own twist with a fourth axis and seeing if he
Oh,
can pull it off. Oh, nice one.
There you go.
Mike's in from Dancers.
Yeah,
hi, Mike.
Chris Charlton's in. Evening, Chris.
Chris.
I'm just going slowly down the chat here. Mike from Dancers said he cut one of his fingers pretty deep today opening a can of corned beef. I don't know. The amount of people that still do that.
Well, he should have used his skew to do it.
Yeah, probably.
Probably would have worked better.
Yeah, Mike Evans is here. Oh, the chat.
Malcolm Douglas has joined us, and so has Anthony Green.
Roger, the angry. It is Roger, isn't it? The angry
Yes.
woodturner. Yeah, he's here. And Roger Wallum.
And Jim Selby has joined us.
Hey, Jim.
I'm only halfway down the chat here at the moment, Ruby.
Oh,
Al's here. Evening, Al.
Hey,
hi,
Al.
Ron.
Johnny Foster's in. Anthony Green. Right, I'll speed up a bit. Todd at Glencove. Brian's in. Evening, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Spun by Green Jeans is here as well. Mike Yu from Ilminster.
Now, Johnny's asking if you're liking the #1 hollower.
Dale's got one and had a video out using it. Yes, I love that #1.
Yep, so
Dale,
do
I think Dale loves his too.
Tim Ponder's in. He's in the hospital, but he is watching.
Hey,
hope you're
sorry to hear
okay,
you're in the
Tim.
hospital.
Haley's in. Good evening, Haley.
Haley.
Good morning to Pete from Twisted Trees.
Pete.
And Jennifer's Craft and Creations has joined us.
Jennifer. I'm still going down the chat here.
Yours is slower than mine.
Yeah, it definitely is. And Roger Wallum is working on 2 yarn bulls right now, only in end grain.
Well, you could sit down, Doug, and we could just let Roger finish his up.
We could.
But we have to find out what this wood is. So in order to do that, you're just going to have to stay with it and finish this one up.
Yep. A little slow right now because we're out of balance, not round yet. So as soon as we get in balance, we'll speed the wood up.
And Lucy's in as well. Good evening, Lucy.
Sweet potato.
Lucy. Now, Doug, why are you cutting in that direction?
Good question. Because I want supported grain. Even though this is roughing out, I want to support the grain. If we think about this is the end grain, so on my grain, let me switch cameras, it'll be easier to see.
You could hold a pencil along the grain.
There it goes. Okay. I had something else pop up.
Good idea.
All the grain is going up and down. This is the end grain.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it.
A good idea for anybody who wants to show how end grain opposed to side grain works is buy a bunch of straws, tape them together, and then you can actually explain how the end grain works as opposed to side grain.
Yeah. Well, I usually use what Doug's doing right now, holding a pencil and showing how you cut towards the end of the pencil.
Right. The grain further up the bowl is still behind the pencil, so it's supporting what I'm cutting off. If I'm cutting this off at an angle, going from low to high, I've got grain behind it to support it. If I went the other way, it's like trying to whittle into the grain. It just doesn't work very well. So this gives me a easier cut and a smoother cut, even at this roughing stage. All right, got a little more speed there.
Jennifer's going to have to pop out. She's still going to be watching, but
all right.
Her granddaughter's just arrived.
Jennifer, you take care.
I don't think that was actually a delivery. I think that was just granddaughter's arrived at the house.
Yeah. My wife and I were talking about grandchildren just the other day. We don't have any yet. My son is supposed to be married in July. And so I think we're both kind of excited about the possibilities of grandchildren coming along.
You're going to have less time than you had before.
Now,
Just
this is true.
warning you. And
Dale,
Dale, go ahead.
go on, Ruby. You started. Go on.
Dale says he's going to try turning a pattern next and hollowing it with the number one hollower. Well, you'll have to let us know how you make out, Dale. You'll find the number one hollower does work very well.
That
Yeah.
is such a nice tool.
It really is.
I'm sure I've shared in this group a couple of times. My dad called me one day just out of the blue. I was driving down the road. He says, that hollowing tool that I bought you, is that worth the money? Talking about a number one. I said, absolutely. It eats wood. So he went to Woodcraft and he bought one. He uses it just about everything he turns now. Be nice to lock down my banjo.
Now, Tony Turns Wood has said that he's going back to the grandkids thing. Praying for good wives for our two boys. Last thing on our bucket list is being grandparents.
Well, don't make that the last thing on your bucket list. Start a new one.
Yeah, add some things, yes.
Like you might have to add on becoming great grandparents.
There you go.
Yeah, and Dale's put in, he's planning on talking about the number one holder again, being it on his next video.
It's a great tool. Great tool. In fact, I will most likely use it on this. Got to get past all these flat spots here.
Unknown caller.
I know some of you all were expecting to see Martin this evening, but I'm glad you're here instead. Sorry, Martin's got something else that was pressing in and he had to take care of, but I'm glad you're here.
It would, to tell you the truth, knowing Martin, it's probably work related.
Maybe. Yeah, still got that flat spot, big flat spot. That's where the bark was. I picked this piece up yesterday and the bark just fell off of it. But that's what happens when your wood sits outside. Big punky area right there. And we're right now through that area. That's great. All right. Oh, now we can get some speed. I want this bowl to have a little bit of a turned in rim. So I'm starting at the top and back into the bowl itself. Again, staying with the grain.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, Norman Greenwell has just come in. And Tony Turns Wood is saying, is the number one hollower you are speaking of the Easy Wood Tools carbide? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
And it's
And
a
the
little
angry,
bitty carbide cutter too.
yeah, the angry wood turner says he's listening to your broadcast while he's at the lathe doing a bit of coring on a 24-inch hole.
There
He
you
said
go.
he'll watch the replay later this evening.
And Jim Selby has said he went to the Florida Symposium a couple of weeks ago, and Phil Lyons was one of the demonstrators. Very good watch. Phil is a very good watch, I've got to say. I've seen him a few times at different shows, and he is very, very good.
He's a wee bit tall.
Well, a wee bit tall, Ruby. Come on.
And Paul is asking if there's any way to turn the light down on your piece.
I wish.
It was, to tell you the truth, I think it was more bleached out when you were when you had the other camera on. The overhead doesn't actually seem that bad. Yeah, that's bleached out.
Much,
Yeah.
I will
Yeah,
have to come back and do some adjustment in the settings. Let's see, I'm going to go to a different gouge, just be a little sharper.
Yeah, if that's not a piece of maple or sycamore, it might possibly be some birch. It doesn't have the line marks to be something like beech.
Jim said about Phil Lyons that they had 6-inch blocks on the legs of his American Beauty.
I'm getting nice shavings off of it, whatever it is.
Karsten Peterson has joined us. Hi, Karsten.
Hi, Karsten.
I hope you're having good weather over there. For those who don't know, Karsten's in Denmark.
And there's also a bit on the tall side as well.
Yes, I did notice that. So are you, for that matter.
No, I'm not. I'm only 5'10".
I did have the pleasure of meeting Wayne live this year. It was much better than meeting him dead.
I'd say.
Sorry about that, Wayne.
Yeah, a bit of a backhanded compliment. Malcolm Douglas has said, how does the #1 hollower compare to the Simon Hope hollower? Now, I have both, Malcolm. I used the Simon Hope one for a long time before I got my Easy Wood Tools #1 hollower. And I've got to say, I prefer the Easy Wood Tools one.
The Hope hollower's on a round shaft, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I've used both, and I tend to find I like the Easy Woods better.
And Pete's actually come in with, you have to remember, Ruby is so short, she thinks door handles are eye level.
Hey, I've been to Pete's house, and the door handles are at eye level for me. Over here in North America, they're at waist level, but at Pete's place, they are at eye level.
Yeah, Pete is someone else who is on the tall side as well.
Yeah.
I was starting to wonder if they had any short people over there in England.
Well, Lucy, Shug, AGK.
I was going to say, Precious.
And Karsten says their day has been overcast, but at least it's now above freezing. Looks like it'll hold. Yeah, the last 2 days today here have been well above freezing, and we finally gotten rid of all our, well, not all, but most of our snow.
Oh, yeah, Malcolm Douglas has put in also Emma, the tiny Turner.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, she's short.
Yeah, you definitely cannot put her in the tall club.
Yep, Haley's put in that her Simon Hope hollower is on a square shaft, and she has both She is no expert, although she does. Right, she's saying no expert, but she turns some really nice stuff.
Agreed.
But she does like the number one hollower a bit better.
And Dale says that when he does videos, he tries to leave the issues in his videos. I think
Yeah.
that's a good idea because people then learn about how other people deal with those issues.
Learn how not to do it.
Sometimes.
Tony's asking, is it the Pro Series you recommend? Now, the Pro Series tends to be a bit bigger. I would recommend, certainly for the number one hollower, I'd go for the mid-size one.
I
Mhm.
Yeah, most people would find they'll get most use out of that.
The mid-size number one hollower has a small cutter, but you will not believe how much wood it actually removes.
In fact, I
Agreed.
can show that to you real quick here.
Yeah, the Pro size hollower has a bigger cutter. It means you can. Plus, it's longer. It means you can reach down deeper
Yeah.
inside the piece that you're turning. But
There's the
the
that's
mid-size one is a lot better.
yeah.
I think anyway.
That's the full size finisher, which is the same size cutter as the pro size hollower. And there's the mid size number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, my
So
preference would be for the smaller one.
Yep.
absolutely. The smaller one will cut more wood faster because it has less to overcome. At least that's my theory. It seems to hold up.
Ah, and Mike says when he does some hollowed pieces, he's going to use the cheat methods that you, Uncle Doug, taught us.
Well, and then somebody, oh, Terry,
Yep.
just did one Sunday that I really liked, which was very similar to the last one that I did with the piece on the top, but his was inset. And that, if I had thought about that, I would have done one of them.
Yeah, that's the one that I tend to prefer is
Yeah,
the inset one.
yeah,
Um,
I really like
uh,
that.
we actually when Doug was doing a series of hollow forms and things like this, the Ruby, Doug, and I actually talked about one of the cheat methods, um, which I think I showed to the pair of them. And mine's an inset one. I do the inset one.
Hmm.
Now, Paul Norfolk Hunter has said, watching people overcome problems is some of the best bits. I
Sometimes it
totally
really is.
Yeah, I totally agree, Paul. And over the past couple of few weeks, Doug has had to do that a couple of few times.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully he's not going to have to do any today.
I hope not. We'll see. You never know. But I've said that for a long time. That's one of the things I think that I like about turning so much more than flat work is that quite often we have issues to overcome. Not necessarily major ones, but something doesn't go exactly as planned, or we make a mistake in the way we cut, or the wood gives way, or an airbrush quits working. It could
Yeah.
be all sorts of things.
Now, Al has said that he was asked to go to the Japanese embassy to relocate the peepholes on the doors from 48 inches down to 40 inches.
I'd have to roll down to see through
Zed's in. Evening, Zed.
Is
them.
it?
Hey Zed, did you know that they've come out with a brand new GPS for we senior folks? It not only tells us where we're going and how to get there, but it tells us why we're going. And it works indoors as well.
Now, Tony Turns Wood has said most of his videos He leaves in the upsies and explain how they are design opportunities. Now, Tony, is that your YouTube channel?
Yes. Yes.
Tony Turns Wood.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Give me a second.
He is one that he and I just found each other recently and have subscribed to each other.
And Lucy's come back to us.
Where'd you go, Lucy?
Well, apparently Andy decided to hoover, which means he was vacuuming.
Mm-hmm.
Mike said,
I did turn the lathe down to 525 when I started sanding, so just to let you know.
and Mike said it was nice to go out today and see many of the spring flowers are finally in bloom. One of my neighbors, when we had all that heavy snow, actually went out and painted tulips along the sides of the snow. They've since melted.
I have seen some pictures on YouTube, not on YouTube, on Facebook, people doing that. All right, we're getting there.
Now Zed says if he took out all his oopsies, he would have half the content that he has.
Zed has a fun propensity to send stuff across the shop.
That means you can.
I hope I've got this one right, but I'm just about to put a link into Tony Turns Wood. Where did that go?
It's in the chat.
Oh, there it is. Grand. And Zed's also put his link in for his premiere later on.
Okay, good.
So if anybody wants to go across to Tony Turns Wood, that is the link there. I'm sure he will appreciate any new subscribers.
Absolutely. I don't know anybody that would refuse subscribers.
I'll go in and do that after this live is finished.
Well, Zed says that in his premiere today, he deals with the worst tear out he's ever had to deal with.
Really? All right, this got a little bit of bug stuff in it, and some spalting and some curl, and this piece of wood's got all kind of fun stuff in it. So,
well, it's going to be very pretty.
I hope so.
And Andy Valley Woodturner has finally finished his vacuuming, and he's joined us.
That's grand. No, and Andy is someone else who is a bit on the tall side as well.
Have not met either one of them, but I have seen pictures. And they're pretty much the Mutt and Jeff I expected.
I guess if I go back over to England, I'll have to take you along with me, Doug. By the way, any of you that follow the Record Power Lives, I was talking to Theo the other morning, and he's looking at doing another live for us on March the 5th.
Oh, excellent. I missed Nathaniel was on Record Power this afternoon.
No, he was on Chestnut.
Oh, sorry, on Chestnut's Live this afternoon. And sadly, I missed that.
All right.
Now, Fred.
Go ahead.
Fred Day said that it's turned cold again there in the county of Kent in the UK, and he can't turn for a while because he just had surgery on both eyelids. Not enjoyable at all. Well, we wish you a speedy recovery, Fred.
Now, Lucy has said that she needs a good I don't know if anybody remembers it, the Yellow Pages, where you had all the phone numbers.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
She needs a set of them so she can give Andy a kiss. Now, when you see Lucy and Andy together, Lucy comes up to Andy's waist.
Oh dear. Well, Zed says that he's 5'20".
All right. That's gonna be straight in the chuck again.
And Todd has said, remember when plastic surgery was a taboo subject? Now you mention Botox and nobody raises an eyebrow.
That's exactly right. Just cleaning off the top of this bowl right now.
Mike says when they stopped making phone directories, it put many strongmen out of business.
Yeah, that was always a thing, wasn't it?
I still have a couple of them around here, believe it or not. Now, Tony's asking if that's a Doug Thompson gouge that you're using, Doug.
This one is a Doug Thompson. I've got this one, a 1/2-inch skew, and something else. I've got 3 Thompsons, and I really like them.
Is that a 5/8?
It's a 1/2 inch.
I got gifted a Doug Thompson bull gouge from one of my subscribers in the States. That was very much appreciated, I've got to say.
Now, Pete points out that tearing iPhones in half tends to get you frowning looks. Oh dear, Todd.
Oh, that's a nice one, Todd. I like that one.
Well, you go ahead and read it then.
Okay, so Todd has said, at the plastic surgery support group meeting, the leader remarked that he saw a lot of new faces.
And Zed said that he recently took up boxing. He asked his coach if he could spar with himself, and the coach said, "Sure, knock yourself out."
Oh,
That's right.
life.
All right. I want to get the number 1 hollower out, so we need to raise the tool rest just a little bit. They like to cut on center with the handle level. All right. I want to take that live center out of the tailstock as well. Give myself a little more room and keep me from banging my elbow into it. Because trust me, if you haven't done it,
Elbows bleed better if you leave it in.
yeah, they bleed. That's the issue. I don't like to bleed. My wife and I were talking the other day. I probably would have had a tattoo or 2 over the years, except that I'm allergic to pain. So,
I'm actually allergic to hard work, physical work, that is. It makes my skin leak.
yeah. Growing up in the Vietnam era, like I did, I always said if I was drafted, I'd either be the biggest chicken or I'd be so mean they'd throw me out. One of the two. I think I'd be a chicken because I'm just too allergic to pain. Now, those are off of a carbide cutter.
Yep,
Those
you
are
do.
healthy shavings.
You do get shavings from carbide cutters.
I've been doing a demo before, an easy wood demo, and had somebody say, "Those are just scrapers." And then I do something like this and pull off these big shavings. And I hold the shavings up. I said, "Okay, just a scraper."
Now, we've talked about this many times before, the three of us. What did people use before bull gouges?
Oh, exactly.
Scrapers.
Scrapers. Bull gouges weren't introduced until
Both the
uh,
1920s.
the 1970s. I think the early 1970s. Peter Child introduced the first one, the long and strong, which still had a short handle, by the way. And it was only after that that people started experimenting with different types of steel, different types of bevels, swept back bevels and things like this. So before bull gouges, everybody used scrapers.
Now, one thing I want to point out to some of the newer turners that haven't used very many of the carbides, if you notice that Doug's still cutting in the proper direction towards the center on his bowl. A mistake a lot of people make when they go to carbides is they tend to cut in both directions. And that's just a bad habit to get into because then you do it with some of your other tools.
And that can produce a lot of accidents.
Yes.
If you're using bull gouges on the inside of a bowl, you've got to go from the outside of the bowl down to the center. If you're using a bowl gouge and you go from the center towards the outside of the bowl, it can jump back at you, and it tends to be your face that tends to be in the way.
Yeah.
As Jim points out, originally the skew was used in scraper mode, and he's correct.
Shoo. Oh, that's a lot of wood to shift out of there real quick.
Well, it's a lot faster to cut it out than to sand it out.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have a particular wall thickness you're going for, Doug?
Um, a quarter or so, 3/8, something in that neighborhood. No, quarter or less, not bigger. See, this is almost a 1/2 inch now. I want to go down smaller than that. And another reason to go kind of work your way down the wall, especially when they're an overhanging rim like this, all your shavings get hung up in there. So you get, I was just having shavings throw me back out. So I had to stop, clear them out, and then we'll come back in.
Well, as you get down deep, it might help if we turn your tool rest inside the bowl.
Mm-hmm. It will.
It also helps on this type of bowl when you start getting down towards the bottom. Once you've done the sidewalls and you start getting down towards the bottom, is to use a traditional grind rather than a swept back grind.
Right.
In the States, they tend to call it a bottom feeder,
Mm-hmm.
but that it does tend to be the traditional or original grind of bull gouges from, like I say, back in the early 70s.
Let's see. There we go.
Yep, that's the one.
Kind of more closer to a 60-degree, straight over the end kind of a grind. And that does real good across that bottom section just to get it nice and squared up along there or flattened out. Still got a hump up here that I'm working on.
And Todd said he thought lawyers were the bottom feeders. Well, there is that as well.
No, I think those are politicians.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, that's better. Much better.
Oh, Mama Sneaks has just come in.
Hey, Mama Sneaks.
Hi,
Glad
Mama.
to see you.
As Pete points out, rounding off the corners a tad on a traditional grind can help avoid catches. And he's talking about the corner on the bottom of the bevel.
Had somebody years and years ago, we were talking about hollow forms and how do you get used to hollow form hollowing tools, because typically you're going through a much smaller hole and you can't see your tool. Well, do it on something like this. Take an open form and use your hollowing tools just like this. I'm watching. I can see how I'm working. I can also grab my swan neck easy wood and use it, and I can see how that cuts in relationship with the bar. That's got its own issues. But in those days, we were using, I think that's it. It is. Some of the early hollowing tools were more like that. That was the Sorby.
Yep.
And that went the other way. It went flat side down, so that that little cutter right there. And same thing though, you could use that on an open form and see how it cuts. See how the cutter is situated in relation to the handle. I still got some good bit of depth there to go. So anyway, yeah, somebody asked me one time, can you use a hollowing tool on an open bowl? Of course.
Of course you can.
It's not always the best tool, but to learn how that tool works, that's the easy way to learn.
Ron says you're starting to worry him as to the depth of the hole in the middle.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. The hole in the middle's gone.
It is now. I that was a depth hole that I put in there just to know where my bottom was or how deep I wanted to go, and so now it's gone. Now it's gone. There we go.
Also, if you watch what Doug's doing at the moment, did you notice that he started that cut way above center? He's starting to do the cut way above center, and then when he finishes the cut, It usually ends up, once he's finished the cut, it'll end up around about center height.
Right. And as Pete points out, as long as not too much light is coming through the bottom, there is still one more cut.
Yep. All right, slow down, get the shavings out. Those shavings love to hang up in there. Where are we? Oh, yeah. We just got some lumps to take out. We're in great shape. For that, I'm gonna break out the finisher, the Easy Woods finisher, which is about a 1/2 inch cutter. Okay, yeah, we're in good shape. Good shape for the shape we're in. I was thinking earlier I wanted to bring out my thickness gauge and show that again. It's been a while since I showed it. However, I have broken the piece that goes in the back here. So it's of no use until I get those remade. All right, I just need to take cleaning cuts now, clean that up top to bottom, and then we'll have some sanding to do. Ah, good deal, good deal.
Now Todd says he has the number 1 and 3 hollowers. Not sure if the 2 is as useful as the other 2. Actually, I would do most of my turning with the 1 and the 2, and just very rarely use the 3.
The number 3 tends to be used a lot for when you are doing hollowing, getting really up close at the shoulder or the neck.
Right.
The majority of work when you're doing hollowing can actually be done with the number 1.
Right. And MB Wood Turning has joined us. Welcome.
Good evening.
Bowl's got a lovely shape to it.
Well, yarn bowl is a yarn bowl, pretty much. Got a little bit more thickness in the bottom, but I want that for some weight. If I can find there it is. I think I can gauge at least a chunk of it. So
no,
my
I think
sides are.
The reason Doug just said that about the weight type thing is, especially with the yarn bowl, is that you are going to have obviously yarn in there, and you are going to be pulling the yarn out through the side cut that he's going to do. So you do need a bit of weight in the bottom of a yarn bowl to actually keep it steady.
Right. Just kind of help keep it from turning over.
Now, Wayne, Zed wants to know if the rumor's true that you do the moonwalk in this week's Disco Dan video.
Oh, Zed, you are too much, man. I tell you.
And Todd's asking if you're going to cut the slot in the side for the yarn, Doug.
I sure am. There have been several that I've seen. Ooh, I kind of like that. Good. There've been several that I've seen over the last couple of years who have gone to a just a hole, drill a hole in the side.
Now,
Mark
to tell
Beckett, I
you the
think,
truth,
does that.
yeah, Mark Beckett, the gentleman woodturner, was the first person that I ever saw doing that, where he just drilled a hole in the side of the bowl for the yarn to come through,
Um,
rather than doing the J cut.
yeah, the what in the world? Stuff's flying around here. The knitters and crocheters I've talked to don't like the hole. Something about when they're changing yarn colors. If it's just a hole, they have to cut their yarn.
Yep.
They don't want to necessarily have to do that.
All right, okay.
So
And
yeah, I'll cut a hook.
yeah, the cut doesn't need to be very wide either,
Right.
but you
Right.
do have to sand the edges of it.
Todd's asking, Mr. Pickett has kept a low profile lately. Is he doing okay? He's doing very well at the moment, Todd. We just swapped messages earlier on this evening, and he's doing fine.
Yeah, he's teaching a lot of classes at home.
Yeah, he's concentrating very much on the teaching side of wood turning rather than doing videos and lives.
And he's also doing a fair amount of commercial turning.
Mm-hmm. Just turn the dust extractor on so I don't have to breathe quite so much of that dust.
And Zed says that he did a yarn bowl with a natural bark inclusion, which formed the slot for the yarn. Sometimes you can make use of features like that in the wood.
It's got a little more punky wood in it than I thought it had at first, but I think we can work around it without any trouble.
And oh, go on, Ruby, go on.
Yeah, Pete's having a meet up with Mark on Friday for coffee and cake. And as Wayne said, the teaching is keeping him busy in his workshop.
Yeah. And Paul has just said that he bought one of the multi-tool furrows from him this afternoon. Nice one, Paul. They work very, very well. Although saying that, I still haven't got mine fitted onto the handles.
I do, and my handle was engraved by Pete with my name on it.
Yeah, I mean, I got the furrows from Pete, but I didn't get the handles. He knows me so well, and I should be able to turn me on.
And Heather from Spirit Winds and Stone and Bone says most of the J's are way too wide. They only have to be as wide as the yarn going through it. And she's a knitter and a crocheter, so she's speaking from experience. Now, why are you putting a pencil mark there?
Because I've got a hump that I want to get rid of.
Tony Turns Wood. Is there a link to buy one of those? Tony, I believe you're in the States.
But Mark will ship to the States.
Yeah, Mark. If you go to I can't remember his website now.
The Gentleman Wood Turner.
Yeah, it's Gentleman Wood Turner. Pete will know Mark's website, or he should do, because I think he manages it.
Well, if you Google the Gentleman Wood Turner, you'll go to.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes. Pete's put it in. Pete's put a link into Mark's website where you can actually order those furrows.
Yeah, I live in Canada, and Mark has sent me mine. Now Fred's saying, Doug, that looks like you've got some serious dust extraction. what kind of dust extractor are you using and what is the wattage? And Ron says your bowl may have moved a little bit.
I don't think so. I'll tell you about the dust extraction here in just half a second. Yes, I do. No, thought I turned that off. If it moved, yes, there we go. It may have moved just a touch, and I got that lump out. That's what I was after. I had a shop vac that I was using, and it went out. And so instead of getting another shop vac, I went to Harbor Freight and got a one of their central machinery dust extractors. So I've got a 1.5 horse dust extractor. The machine is about 4 feet off to my right and a little bit behind me. With this big 4-inch, this is just the end. I've got a 4-inch flex hose connected between the two, and it does a wonderful job. The only problem with it is how much noise it makes.
And Mike says he went to Machine Mart this week and they've got some nice 2 and 3-inch twist click disc sanding mandrels for reasonable prices.
That's nice to know, Mike. Machine Mart is it's quite a big store in the UK that does all different types of machinery and accessories.
Yeah, my mandrels I often get from Princess Auto in Canada, which is the same as Harbor Freight in the States.
Yeah. Harbor Freight and other places in other countries similar used to all have reputations for pretty poor quality tools. Use them once, throw them away. Harbor Freight has really brought their game up in the last few years. So I don't have nearly as much issue with saying I use some Harbor Freight tools as I used to. This dust collector I've got is going to be discontinued before too much longer. It's a Central Machinery, which was their house brand. But that's being replaced by a better name. They just replaced their bandsaw at Harbor Freight. Used to be Central Machinery, now red, called a Bauer. And from everything I'm seeing on it, it's a pretty good bandsaw.
Yeah, Tony says they just introduced the Bauer with a pleated filter in Cyclone.
Yeah. I thought they had, or were about to. I'm going to get the pleated filter to go on top. The cartridge. This has got a bag on it. I'm going to replace that with a cartridge. They do a much better job. All right, we're about to get to the fun part.
You're just a couple of minutes away from the hour, Doug.
All right.
Just to let you know.
Yeah, that helps. It helps.
And Tony says don't bother with the cartridge if you don't add a separator. He learned that the hard way.
For instance, that drill, you don't see them as often anymore. This is a chineseium, very inexpensive. I think I paid $20 for that. It has no name. It says angle drill. That's all it says. Well, angle drill, 120 volt, 60 hertz, 1400 RPMs, 3.8 amps, 3/8 chuck, made in China. That's all it says on the side label. 20 bucks. I've been using it for almost 20 years. I've got another one if this one ever does go bad that's never been out of the box. I'll entertain bids. We start at $100.
Again, we don't over here. We don't tend to get many of those angle drills.
Right.
And again, one of my subscribers actually sent me one across from, and I think it was a DeWalt.
Okay.
Sent me one across from the States.
All right. I'm going to come in the side grain here. Change this over to top view, and you can maybe see this a little better.
And Mike is right. A bower is an ice skate.
I'm going to get a drill bit. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to drill a hole right about there. And then I'm going to come with this other tool. And I'm drawing this in just to give myself kind of a guideline.
Your helmet keeps getting in the way.
Moan and groan, moan and groan.
Well, that's my job. That's what I'm here for, right?
Oh, you are a woman. That's right.
Oh,
sorry.
That was a bit harsh.
Stepped right in that one. Oh, no, you're exactly right, Ruby. Thank you. All right. I know y'all probably can't see. Well, you can see them a little bit.
Yeah, we can see it.
There's my hole I'm going to drill, and then I'm going to come out, not the side, but I'm not exactly. I'm going to go out, if that's 12 and that's 6, I'm going to go out at about 8 o'clock and make a groove coming around. And this, I'm going to open this up just a little bit, not a whole lot. I just kind of want a V in there is all I want. And what I'm going to use to cut it with, there you can see the name, RotoZip.
Zip. Yeah.
It makes a bit of noise, but so I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to turn this on and cut this slot, and then I'll come back in so y'all can kind of talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Said that I haven't drilled my hole yet.
Now, Frederick is asking, before you start, Doug, Frederick is asking, are you going to add another 2 holes to store the needles? Now, if I can answer this, what you find with knitters, especially if they are enthusiastic knitters, they will use multiple sizes of knitting needles.
Yep.
So it's a little bit pointless just drilling a couple of holes in to fit a couple of knitting needles in, because they will use multiple sizes.
Yeah,
And,
I would
and
advise it.
if you think about it, you're going to have a ball of yarn in here. All they have to do is stick their needles right into that ball of yarn.
Correct.
And it's taken care of. So yeah, it's kind of pointless. And honestly, the knitters, the people who I've talked to about these things, they have all said the same thing, that they really don't care at all about the holes. They just they want the hook for the yarn, and they want no holes, or they don't care about the holes. All right, take that out. I think this bit will fit in this drill. Maybe. Nope. So I've got to get a different drill. Oh, or a different drill bit. That's what I could do. Go down a size or 2. This hole doesn't have to be real big, but the sides need to be smooth. And so I'll drill it, and then I'll smooth it as I'm smoothing the slot as well. Yeah, that works. Good.
Now, Mike says that when he was younger, he had some Bauer hockey skates. You're giving away your age, Mike, because I can remember having them when I was young too. And Pete's pointed out that knitters who have cats like the bowls to have a lid with a lock on them too. And Chris is asking this, not a stupid question, Chris. Without a lid, why does it need a J cut in the side? Surely the yarn can come out the top. Well, actually, the J helps the yarn come out of one side, and it keeps the yarn straight and stops it from getting twisted. Now, are you going to lock your spindle, Doug?
Yeah, yeah. I was just checking on things, and I thought maybe my bit had dropped down, but it's not. We're in great shape. But yes, I am going to. Thank you. Like I'll just do that now. There we go. Okay, mute myself.
Now, this is the tool I have never used, the rotor zip. I've looked at them quite a lot of times, and I've never actually made the decision to go and get one.
I've got one, but I used it more for carvings on pieces.
All right, okay.
Now, Doug, maybe if you could change to another camera, we could see exactly what you're doing easier. Chris says he's watching from the dentist chair. It looks like an implant coming. Good luck with that, Chris. I'm getting a double one coming up.
I was talking to Doug and Ruby before we started about being at the dentist today. Can I just a bit of advice to everyone? If you are going to the dentist to get a filling, and they do give you the needle with the local anaesthetic, once you finish with the dentist, do not go home and eat sourdough bread, because you end up getting more fresh meat than what you do bread.
In other words, folks, he chews on his tongue and his cheek.
Yeah, there was more the lip, to tell you the truth, Ruby. It's an absolute mess at the moment.
Now, Paul's asking if you could use a palm router for this. And
yes, you could.
Paul.
Yeah, you could. You could use a palm router. You could use a Dremel. What I did once, doing a yarn bowl, was that I used a jigsaw, but I actually sawed off half of the jigsaw blade, so it didn't come too far through the bowl.
Yeah. And Todd says he's also used a coping saw when he made one. And Zed says he used a Dremel. The bit that I've used for this is the one that you use for cutting squares for electrical boxes and drywall. And you can pick that up at most hardware stores.
Yep.
There we go. Now you can see why they call that a J hook. This is the top of the J. There's your J. And I did slip out when I came back to do this little opening right here. Slipped out and hit that. So I'm going to have to give that a little more work. But that's not a big deal. That's some files, some little small hand files, and some sandpaper. And
yeah, tell you the truth, Doug, you can just cut that piece off and sand it down.
I could, yeah. Or I could bring my tail rest or my tool rest back up and take that off.
Yep.
That would work pretty easily. In fact, the first one I did, I did this down to about a ½ inch, and I used jigsaw like you were talking about, because I didn't want the vibration to break this off right through here. And so I left it thick, And then I came back and I turned the inside further. And I was surprised how well that worked. It worked real well. So anyway,
Now,
I've got several options. That's not a big deal. But all this will get hand filed, hand sanded till it's really smooth all the way around.
now Mike has put something in here very interesting, which something I may well have tried quite a few years ago. But he's put in, there used to be a bar in Peterborough with a dentist chair. They lie you back and pour tequila in your mouth, spin the chair, and then suddenly spring the chair into a sitting position.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, I'll pass.
I certainly could have done that.
Now that grain is really popping with that sealer on it.
Yeah, it's just a little sanding sealer so y'all could see the wood a little better. I was wondering if that might be hackberry. It's not. I tell you what I think it is. I think it's some spalted crabapple.
All right.
It doesn't look quite dark enough to be crabapple.
It may not be, but I know I got a crabapple tree. I got a pear, a crabapple.
No, it might be pear. Oh, wait a minute. It's not dark enough for pear either.
Or light enough. No, this is not the pear. I know where the pear's on a different pallet out there. And I think the crabapple and the pear are on the same pallet.
I
Is
know
it the
one.
beach? Or do you not get beach over there?
I don't. Yes, we have it, but I don't have any.
Yeah, that's not the wood grain isn't right for beech.
Okay.
I really don't know what it is. So it's going to get labeled fogwood.
Well, I know for a fact that it's beautiful wood. So there.
It's yeah. Or you might say it's tree wood.
Yeah, Karsten, Doug did say he's going to sand the J out.
Oh yes.
You definitely have to do that or the thread will get caught in it.
Yeah, it's got to be very smooth the entire length. So I'll use, like I said, I'll use some hand files to get it real straight and smooth around there, and then I'll go through with my sandpaper. I'll start like with that's 240. That's supposed to be back here. I'll start with 80. Yeah, and I'll just take it and work up and down just like that all the way around, and go all the way up to 240 till I'm really happy with it. So it's not a fast process to get this hook done, and that's why I hesitated to do any to begin with. I had a lady ask me about doing them, and I asked her what size she wanted. She said, "Oh, 6 or 8 inches in diameter," and I got thinking about it, how long it was going to take to do this part of it, and she didn't want to pay my price. This one is going to be rim to rim 7 1/4. So it's a decent size, and it's how deep is that? I meant to measure that a while ago. Inside depth is 3 1/4. Outside is 3 3/4. So it's 1/2 inch in the bottom. I've still got plenty of meat down there. But anyway, little bit of an inturned rim, and this will get sanded. The whole thing will get sanded. Final sanding. We'll use the axe paste, abrasive paste, and wax on it. I may put some lacquer, a coat or two of lacquer, between the abrasive and the wax. But I'll get this little area right here, that little place, squared away. I'm not sure what I'll do. Kind of looks like a worm trail. So I just slipped out and let the tool come back and hit that. It didn't take but a second to mess it up, but not a biggie. Any other thoughts, questions?
The last
Just
2 bowls like this that I did, I had to actually make them 11.5 and 12 inches in width because some of the newer skeins of wood were that big.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the people that wanted them that large.
Right. Yeah, the lady that runs the store I sell some of my work in, she uses that great big yarn, and she was saying if she had a yarn bowl, it'd have to be 1.5 2 foot wide. I said, yeah, you don't want to pay that price. She said, oh no, I don't care. She lets the
Oh,
ball
right.
roll across the yard.
Okay.
Andrew,
Andrew's just come in. EGK. Precious.
Precious. You missed it, Precious. We used your favorite tool. Oh me. All right. Well, all that being said, it's been a good time, and I was really hoping to get this further along, but I understand. It's just kind of the way it goes. Oh, I was going to show. Get the sawdust and shavings out of it. There's that bowl from last week. I did get it finished up. That's got about 4 coats of lacquer on it. Still has dust on it. And I cannot, for this camera, I cannot get the direction on it right so that you all can see the purple. It's blue, blue, blue. From my direction, it's purple as it can be. And it's beautiful. I think the blue and the purple that come out of this are just gorgeous. And that's just from one bottle of paint. It's not multiple paints. It's one paint. But it came out pretty good. Pretty good. I like it. Look forward to putting that in the store. So wanted to show you that. Wanted to show you this, and I may have another oddball kind of a piece to do, and then I got another series I want to do, kind of some fun stuff. So it'll be fun. At least it'll be fun for me. I don't know about anybody else. If y'all get bored with any series I do, just let me know. I'll do them anyway, but just let me know. All right.
You do loads of series, Doug. As long as I know what you're doing and I can comment on them, I don't mind.
Yeah, you'll know what I'm doing. You've done a lot of what I'm doing. Yeah, I did. I thought recently about doing another string pull. Posted my last string pull. No, one of my first string pulls I posted, and somebody came on. That's beautiful. How much? I said, I don't know. It's over in the store. You'll have to go by and look.
Yeah, I saw that post.
Yeah, that and the purple raindrop.
Yep.
They love the purple raindrop. So anyway, that's something else. I still want to do a green and a red raindrop. We'll get those one of these days. All right. Thanks everybody for coming in. It's been a good time. What's that?
don't forget to hit the like button, folks.
Yeah. Zed said I noticed Doug didn't throw his yarn bowl into the center of the shop or in the corner of the shop. No, that's another one. I've got another one that's over there in the corner. This one stays here. This one's okay, at least for now, until I break something. But it's okay. Anyway, thanks everybody. Do hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe if you would as well. Doesn't cost you a thing, and it helps me tremendously. The other thing that'll help the channel, close out of here, then come back in and put something in the comments section. That really helps the analytics tremendously.
Yeah, because when you're in live, you can't make a comment on the video. Okay, you can make a comment in the chat. You can't make a comment in the video. But once the live is finished, you can actually go back in and make a comment on the video. Please go ahead and do that. And Doug looks at all the comments and will answer the comments as well.
I do. Somebody said, how do you go through all this? Right now, I don't have that much trouble. I'm not like some folks who get thousands of comments. So I do respond to all of them, even if it's just thanks. I will respond. So I've read it. All right. So with that, I've got to go start getting ready for next week. It might be nice if I brought you guys in too, wouldn't it? So that we can all say bye to this esteemed group in the chat. So we're going to say bye, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thanks
Good
for
night.
coming in.
Have a great week, and I hope to see you next week.